Hi, and welcome to another edition of Ask Tom. And this time we've got a question from Phil Nichols and Bosworth.
Is it? Oh, it's on. Is it just to ask Tom Crowell, Tom Graham? Hello there, Mr. Tom Crowell. This here is Bosworth. The crow, the little thing, this crow. I'll consider it running for president, sir. Do you think I should? That there's no question. And I'm trying to get hold of Tall Zerden. He's an awful thief. And I was just wondering if he's in the market for a crow. Because, he's a millionaire now, and this is still, he doing the honest is to make money. And I don't like the entire. I just don't like the entire. So if you could tell that highly rather, Mr. Tall Zerden, that they're done that is very popular in England. Just look what Arthur did for that other guy. I can't remember his name. He's awful good. Him and that monkey. They're just nice. Just so nice. Just something to crawl down. Yes.
Okay, Bosworth, I think you've bothered the man enough.
Oh, you hush. You hush, or I'll settle your hash. You just go on over there and mind your own business.
No, come on. Now, I need to ask Tom a question.
Oh, you do not need to ask no questions.
It's about ventriloquism.
Oh, asking that they got a vaccine for that stuff yet.
All right, Bosworth, all right. Well, Tom, my question is, how do you deal with an audience that you think is going to speak English and then doesn't, and then you don't speak Spanish? Surprise! And how long does it generally take before you start generating enough income from ventriloquism? Once you've gone through all the trials to get your show up to where it should be, 3 or 4 years of work, how long after that before you start kind of getting a return on the investment that you've put into it? That's kind of what I'm interested in right now.
Are you taking enough of that man's time? You go on over there. Tell you what, you go fix me some popcorn. I'm hungry. Get to it, boy.
All right. Well, I'll say goodbye and leave you with Bosworth.
Okay, now look here. Let's get back to serious business. Are you looking for a crow puppet?
All right, first of all, Bosworth, I don't recommend running for president, but, hey, what do I know? I think there's enough dummies in politics, and quite literally, that's an old joke, so I'm just going to leave it there. As for Zerden, I already talked about my feelings about him last week. I'm staying out of that controversy. Probably contributing to it by not getting into the controversy, but that's where I am. So I can't answer for that, and you'd have to contact him directly if you want to work with him. But when we get to Phil's question, Phil, you asked a couple good questions. First of all, how do you deal with a audience that doesn't speak your language? And when I was doing resorts down in Mexico, most of the people that came into the show were English speaking. Okay, 90% of them were Americans down there on vacations at these really exclusive resorts. It was a great gig, I'll tell you. But there would be times where somebody would come into the showroom and they didn't speak English, and you could see it in their eyes as you started, and you knew you were going to lose them. If you get in front of a whole audience that doesn't speak English, well, you're going to die. And I think it's important to know before you go in. You have to ask these questions to the person that is considering using you. If you aren't sure, I mean, that's kind of a weird question to ask, but you would think they would have given you that clue in advance. I have a good friend of mine who is a cruise ship comedian, went on and they were doing shows for a deaf cruise. They couldn't hear a darn thing the guy said. He died every time he walked on stage. Yet the magicians would do well and the dancers would do well because that was more visual art. So you've got to know the audience that you're getting in front of. And as for the, how long it's going to take you to generate an ROI on your investment for becoming a ventriloquist, there's a lot to show business besides just having the talent and the show. You've got to have the business savvy. And I don't know about your business background, but I know I'm constantly investing to learn more and find new ways to reach clients and new ways to communicate and grow. As a business person, you've got to do networking, you've got to, make relationships, and that all takes time. You can't just hang out your shingle and say, I'm a ventriloquist, hire me. It's not going to work. So how long is it going to take you to generate that income? Well, it depends on, first of a number of things. First of all, how much time you're willing to put into it, because you do have to put in time. I mean, this is a full-time job, reaching out constantly, trying to get work, trying to make those relationships, trying to promote and advertise. I wear a lot of hats, and I have a lot of irons in the fire. And if you are able to invest your time in that way and you do it smart by knowing what your goal is at the outcome, it's not just to get more shows, it's not just, but know your audience. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about that in this month's IVS Spotlight. So the October issue. So I don't know when this is coming out. But I talk about knowing your audience, and I'm going to share with you one of the ways that, I get in front of my audience. So these are things you're going to have to think about, and it's a very in-depth subject. It might take you a shorter time to get that ROI. It might take you a longer time. It depends on how dedicated you are and how much you put into it. Real quick, I did an interview with the Kids Entertainer Hub. Colette Kelly over in the UK interviewed me, and I'm not really a kids entertainer. I do shows for children, but I'm mostly a corporate act. And she asked me a couple questions, and one thing that we came up with was an interview that I did with Terry Fader a while back, which is, what is your backup plan? And I was sitting in Las Vegas with Terry Fader, and I said to him, so if you couldn't have been a ventriloquist, what would you have done? And he said, I didn't have a backup plan. I had to be a ventriloquist. And I realized, something? When I quit my job years ago, I wanted to be a magician, and I didn't have a backup plan. I had to be a magician, and I went for years. And then when I switched over to ventriloquism, I had to be a ventriloquist because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have anything else I wanted to do. It was a passion. And I've heard it said that the professional is really the amateur, because the amateur is someone who loves the art, and a professional is an amateur who loves the art so much that they couldn't do anything else. So it requires you to focus. It requires you to put the effort in. And if you put the effort in, man, I know you can do it. You can do it. So I wish you all the best. I hope that answers your questions. And Bosworth, I'm not looking for another bird. My duck would kill me. I'll see you guys next time on Ask Tom.